want to talk to you guys and ask you guys, do you think it's a time to buy real estate? Do you think it's a time to sell real estate? Or what right now is going on economically that you think you should be doing? And so that's the question, right? That's the question that most people are asking themselves right now. Is it a time that I should be buying? Is it a time that I should be selling? If I'm an investor, should I be holding my real estate or should I be selling my real estate? If I'm an investor, should I be buying more real estate or should I be holding for prices to come down? And the biggest problem when economic changes this big are happening nationwide is that most people question themselves and ask themselves those exact same questions, but they don't know. Even if they've invested before. You know what's ironic is that most people don't know whether it's a good time to buy or a bad time to buy. And so I'm as a seasoned real estate developer and a seasoned real estate investor, it's always the right time to buy. The variance is how and what you buy. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about what's happening in today's current market. Hyperinflation, or at least mass inflation, right? Mass inflation is happening right now. And you sit back and you go, okay, do I pay these prices? Do I continue to pay these prices? Is there profitability in paying these prices? Should I halt and wait? Should I wait for prices to come down? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have investors that have been asking that question to me for the last 3 years, and they're still waiting, still haven't bought anything. Meanwhile, we've went out and acquired millions upon millions of dollars worth of assets and holdings and developed millions upon millions of dollars worth of assets and holdings. And so what's the difference? The difference is people's risk tolerance and what they're buying and knowledge base. And so I sit here today and I sit back and I go, okay, ladies and gentlemen, if there's investors and there's people that are still out there, they're still buying, they're still selling, and they're still facilitating day-to-day business in the real estate sector, what should you be doing? Should you be going out and sitting on the sidelines waiting for prices to come down? And will they ever come down? And I'll tell you, I have a cousin that came to me 3 years ago and asked me, Jerome, should I buy this house? I said, buy that house. I said, it's a good buy. You know, good quality home. Knew the builder. Wasn't me, but I knew the builder. The builder happened to be my drywall guy that I used to labor for years ago. And I said, buy the house. And so ironically enough, she contemplated to consider to evaluate, never bought the house. Ladies and gentlemen, that house was a 3-bedroom, 2,400 square foot house, sold for $250,000. 3 years later, you cannot build that same house and sell it for $250,000 because of inflation. That same house is selling for $350,000 today, ladies and gentlemen, and now she's sitting at a place going, oh my God, I should have bought that house. I could have got it for $100,000 less, or I could have had $100,000 worth of equity in that home. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that house is not going to go down $100,000. So whether you wait or not, you can wait and you can continue to wait. But when there's two things happening, one, an inventory crisis, and there's inflation, yes, prices may drop a little bit. They may come back down. But to what extent? They're not going to come down by 1/3. You're not going to be able to buy that land and build that house and purchase it with that type of equity. And in 3 years, ladies and gentlemen, she could have seen a 33% return on investment, hence over 10% annually. Now, what do you make when you sit back and you think about it? What do you make with the money that sits inside your savings account? 1% or less, right? I don't know what banks are paying you guys out interest. In my savings account, they're absolutely worthless. So I try not to keep any money in my personal savings account. In fact, if you look at my personal savings account, there might be a few $1,000s in there, like $5,000, $7,000. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't keep money in my personal savings accounts. And the reason why is because my money works for me better by investing it. And so you can go out and you could sit on the sidelines and wait for prices to come down. But my personal recommendation to you is to buy and to learn how to buy correctly. Now, there's not a lot of inventory to buy out there. So what assets do you buy? Well, one asset you can buy is value-add assets, assets that are distressed physically or financially, and figure out how to reposition those assets to profit from them. And so we have an office building, which office is still in financial distress, that we purchased over in Phoenix, Arizona, that we're turning into multifamily real estate. Multifamily's on the rebound. The forbearances are gone. People need rooftops to live in. So we're taking distressed assets, we're repositioning them. We just picked up a Motel 6 building that we just tied up. That Motel 6 building is in financial distress. People aren't traveling. And the business model of Motel 6 isn't the same as it was in 1985. People can't go out and run an asset with $25, $39 a night rooms and stabilize that asset where it's profitable. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're picking these up. We're doing these small little micro unit, 450 square foot renovations into multifamily. And there's a need for that asset class, not a Motel 6. So we've gotten unique in how we purchase and what we purchase. And instead of going out and competing with the mass majority of house fix and flippers and mom and pop buyers that are going out there trying to buy homes and sitting back trying to figure out a way to profit from them, we're creating inventory. And so one of the biggest things that we do now is we buy land, we build houses. We've been doing it since the late 90s. It's been one of the most immensely profitable business models that we've ever exercised. And ladies and gentlemen, we teach you guys how to do it. And so I'll tell you guys, the way we buy assets is slightly different than the way we were buying assets in 2016. In 2016, we were able to go in and buy other assets, be able to do fix and flip stuff on commercial assets that really today are harder to find if you're in those same market sectors, but you can find different market sectors to pivot and buy. So what I've always said is where there is financial distress, there is opportunity. And so ladies and gentlemen, if you just pivot a little bit and you look out of where you normally would look, most people's heads are in that rental market, that single family. I want to buy a house. I want to buy a rental home. I want to buy a house. I want to buy a rental home. That's great. I'm appreciative to the fact that most people want to invest their money in an asset that's going to grow in spite of their efforts. An asset that in spite of what's happening economically is going to continue to rise in value. It's one of the smartest investments that you can make. And ladies and gentlemen, the answer to today's question is yes, you should be buying real estate. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking at single family homes as a means to be able to retire you and invest in, you may want to look just a little bit deeper into buying land and building houses, into more distressed asset classes, multi-unit real estate, how to reposition real estate. You don't have to be a construction guru. There's contractors out there that have the experience that you need. And there's good ones. And there's bad ones, but there's good ones. And there's more good ones than there are bad ones. It's just that the bad ones give the industry a bad reputation. And so, ladies and gentlemen, now more than ever, with all the changes that are happening in the market, it's going to be a rare occurrence to see that houses depreciate in value over the next decade because of the mass need for rooftops. So if you're sitting on the sidelines right now and you're waiting for this market to change exponentially, where we have this huge bubble burst and that you're able to go in and pick up all these foreclosures and all these short sales and all these tax sales and whatever type of discounted real estate you want to pick up, they're out there. There's a few of them here and there. But ladies and gentlemen, that decade of waiting is going to make you grow gray, old, and never get to the investment side of it. One of my mentors asked me one time, he said, hey, Jerome, and I can't remember the argument that we were having, and it wasn't really an argument, but it was more of a me asking a stupid question, or, it's not really a stupid question, but me asking a question that was probably a stupid question, and him coming back to me and coming back with a logical answer indirectly, right? He goes, Jerome, do you know who the best baseball player is that ever lived? And I didn't understand why he was asking me that question at the time. And I sat back and I said, I was like, yeah, Babe Ruth, And he goes, wrong. And so I was sarcastically answering back, okay, And so I go through, Jackie Robinson, So I go through a bunch of different baseball players, and I'm sitting back. And he goes, nope. And I name off like 5, 6 baseball players. And I said, okay, who the hell is the best baseball player that ever lived? And he goes, I don't know. And I go, well, if you don't know, how am I supposed to know? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, you know why? He said, because the best baseball player that ever lived, nobody knows. Because the best baseball player that ever lived never stepped foot on the diamond and picked up a bat to hit the ball. And the best investors that are out there will never buy their first investment property because they're sitting there waiting for the right time to take that field. Ladies and gentlemen, the right time is now. So if you're sitting back wondering, should I buy? The answer is yes. You have to you have to walk up to the plate, pick up the bat. It's time for you to find out if you are that best baseball player that ever lived, because the rest of the world will never know until you get up, you take that bat, and you take that first swing.